My name is Claire Bennett. 3 days before my younger sister's wedding, my own mother called and told me not to come because my face would embarrass the family in front of the groom's wealthy relatives. I never argued. I quietly canceled the flowers I had planned to hand-deliver, packed away the silver necklace I bought as a wedding gift, and spent the evening staring at my phone. Then 2 days after the ceremony, my sister called me, crying so hard she could barely breathe. "Claire, please help us. The wedding venue, the caterer, and the decorators are demanding payment. They said you removed your authorization." I closed my eyes and remembered the words my mother whispered when she shut the door in front of me. "You're not family today." So I answered with only one sentence. "If I was not family, then I was never responsible for your bill." If you think that was the end, you would be wrong. That was only the moment everything finally began. My name is Claire Bennett, and I am 35 years old. For the last 11 years, I have lived in Vancouver, building a career as a financial analyst while the rest of my family stayed behind in a small town in Oregon. People always assumed I left because I wanted adventure. The truth was simpler. Distance hurt less than rejection. My younger sister Sophie had always been the center of my parents' universe. When she wanted ballet lessons, they found the money. When she wanted a new car, they somehow found more. When she decided to quit college twice, nobody complained. Whenever I needed help, I was told to figure it out because I was the strong one. Being called independent sounds like a compliment until you realize it usually means nobody plans to stand beside you. Still, I never hated Sophie. She was my little sister. When she scraped her knees as a child, I carried her home. When she failed math, I tutored her every weekend. When she cried over her first breakup, I stayed awake until sunrise listening to her. Maybe that is why I believed things would be different when she announced she was getting married. The phone rang late on a Thursday evening. "Claire, you're going to scream," Sophie shouted before I even said hello. "He proposed." I smiled without thinking. "Congratulations, Sophie. Tell me everything." She spent nearly an hour describing the lakeside resort, the white roses, the string quartet, and the custom dress she wanted. Her excitement felt genuine. By the end of the call, I was already searching for flights. The next morning, my mother called. Her voice carried that careful sweetness she only used when she wanted something. "Honey, there is a little problem with the wedding contracts. The resort requires someone with excellent credit to sign the agreements. Your father and I have had some financial issues after refinancing the house. Sophie does not qualify either." She paused long enough for me to finish the sentence in my own head. "Would you help your sister?" "How much are we talking about?" I asked. "Probably around $120,000 total, but only a small deposit now. The remaining balance comes after the wedding." I leaned back in my office chair. That number was enough to buy a home in some places. "Mom, that is a serious commitment." "You are not paying," she replied quickly. "Your name is just there for paperwork. We will handle everything afterward." I should have remembered every promise that had come before. The emergency surgery fund that actually paid off a vacation. The business loan that secretly covered gambling debt. The roof repair that turned into Sophie's shopping spree. But family has a strange way of making old lessons disappear. Within a week, every contract arrived in my inbox. Resort, catering, entertainment, photography, floral design. My signature appeared on every page. When the final document was complete, my mother thanked me with a text message containing only 3 words. "You saved us." For months, I watched the wedding grow from thousands of miles away. Social media filled with venue tours, cake tastings, and dress fittings. Everyone seemed included except me. There was a group chat called Sophie's Dream Team. I was never invited. When I asked about bridesmaid dresses, Sophie laughed and said they already picked them. When I asked where I would be sitting, she said they were still working on seating arrangements. No invitation ever arrived.
No itinerary.
No rehearsal schedule. Nothing. I convinced myself none of it mattered because I was family. Families do not need invitations. At least that was what I kept telling myself every night. 2 weeks before the ceremony, I booked my flight anyway. Nearly 18 hours in the air. 4 nights at an expensive hotel. A luxury necklace Sophie had admired months earlier. Altogether, the trip would cost almost $5,000 before I even reached Oregon. My coworkers thought I was excited. I smiled and told them I could not wait. Inside, I carried a strange heaviness I could not explain. The day before my departure, I looked at the printed boarding pass resting beside the wedding gift. Something about the silence from home felt wrong. My father had not called once. My mother answered messages with only 1 or 2 words. Sophie always claimed she was too busy. For a moment, I almost canceled everything. Then I looked at an old photograph sitting on my bookshelf. 2 little girls covered in birthday cake laughing at something only children understand. One of them was me. The other was Sophie. I whispered to the picture. Maybe this trip will finally fix us. I had no idea I was about to spend thousands of dollars just to discover I had already been erased from my own family. The flight from Vancouver landed just after sunset. By the time I picked up my rental car and reached the hotel, the digital clock on the dashboard read 9:43. The receptionist smiled warmly when she checked my reservation. "Are you here for the Morrison wedding?" she asked. I nodded. She laughed. "Half the town is. You picked a beautiful weekend." I smiled back, but something inside me felt strangely hollow. My room overlooked a quiet lake reflecting the lights from nearby cabins. I hung my navy blue dress in the closet, placed Sophie's necklace box carefully on the desk, and finally sent my mother a message. "Just checked in. What time should I arrive tomorrow?" Her reply came nearly an hour later. "Ceremony starts at 2. Nothing else.
No welcome.
No see you soon. No breakfast together. No excitement that her oldest daughter had traveled across the continent." I stared at those 4 words until the phone screen went dark. Sleep barely came that night. Every memory seemed to replay in my mind. The forgotten birthdays. The holidays where my calls went unanswered. The graduation photo hanging in my parents' living room with only Sophie standing between them while my own diploma was never framed. I pushed those thoughts away and forced myself to believe tomorrow would be different. Families fought. Families drifted apart. But weddings brought people back together. At least that was what I wanted to believe. The next afternoon, the resort looked exactly like the photographs Sophie had shown me. Fresh white roses lined the entrance. Crystal chandeliers sparkled through the windows. Guests walked across the gardens, laughing while musicians tuned their instruments. Everything looked perfect. I parked near the back of the lot, grabbed the wrapped necklace, and started walking toward the entrance. That was when I saw my father. He stood beside the front doors talking with 2 men in tailored suits. For a second our eyes met. His expression froze. Then, without saying a single word, he turned around and disappeared inside. I stopped walking. Maybe he simply had not recognized me. I took another few steps. The doors opened again. My mother stepped outside. She looked elegant in a champagne-colored gown with flawless makeup and carefully arranged hair. She blocked the entrance before I could reach it.
"Claire." Her voice was calm.
Controlled. "What are you doing here?" I laughed nervously. "Very funny, Mom. I came for the wedding." Her expression never changed. "You need to leave." I blinked. "Excuse me. You should not be here. People are arriving. Please do not create a scene." I felt the wrapped gift slipping in my hands. "I flew here yesterday. I signed every contract for this wedding. I am Sophie's sister." She lowered her voice until only I could hear. "Not today. Today only immediate family is allowed." The words hit harder than any scream. I stared at her, trying to understand. "I am immediate family."
"No, Claire."
"Not for this event." Before I could answer, another woman approached from behind. She looked elegant and confident, wearing a pale lavender dress with pearls around her neck. She smiled politely. "Emily, is everything all right?" My mother transformed instantly. Her cold face melted into perfect hospitality. "Everything is wonderful. This is just a distant cousin who seems confused about the schedule." A distant cousin. For a moment, I genuinely wondered whether I had heard correctly. The woman looked at me, then back at my mother. "I thought you only had one daughter." My mother laughed softly.
"Exactly. Just one."
The silence afterward felt endless. The stranger accepted the explanation and walked back inside. I remained standing on the stone pathway, unable to breathe. My own mother had erased me with a smile. Not because she forgot. Not because she was confused. Because she chose to. I looked toward the ballroom through the open doors. Staff carried trays of champagne. Florists adjusted arrangements I had personally guaranteed with my signature. Every decoration surrounding that celebration existed because my name sat on legally binding documents. Yet I was not welcome to witness any of it. My father appeared again several feet behind my mother. He looked exhausted, ashamed even. Still he said nothing. Not one word. He simply lowered his eyes. I realized then that silence can betray someone just as deeply as lies. Part of me wanted to walk inside anyway, to take the microphone and tell every guest exactly who had financed the entire celebration. To ask why the daughter who paid for everything was standing outside while strangers occupied her seat. Instead, I slowly bent down and placed the necklace box beside the entrance. Tell Sophie this was meant for her. My mother relaxed almost visibly. Thank you, Claire. You are doing the right thing. I raised one hand. Do not explain. Do not pretend this is kindness. I finally understand exactly where I stand. Without another word, I turned around and walked back toward the parking lot. Every step felt strangely lighter. Behind me, the musicians began playing. Applause echoed across the gardens. The wedding had started.
Isette.
Inside, my rental car closed the door and watched tears fall without making a sound. After several minutes, I started the engine. As the resort disappeared in my rearview mirror, one thought repeated itself again and again. If they could erase me this easily, then perhaps I had been invisible to them for much longer than I ever realized. I drove back to the hotel without turning on the radio. The road stretched endlessly ahead while the late afternoon sun disappeared behind the mountains. For the first time in years, there was no confusion.
No excuses.
No, maybe they did not mean it. No, maybe I am overreacting. My mother had looked me directly in the eyes and told another human being that I did not exist. There was no misunderstanding left to analyze. Only truth. When I entered my hotel room, I kicked off my shoes and sat on the edge of the bed. The wedding ceremony was probably happening right now. Sophie was likely walking down the aisle, surrounded by applause. My father was probably smiling for photographs. My mother was undoubtedly playing the role of proud parent. And somehow I was the only person paying for that fairy tale. The thought made me laugh. Not because it was funny, because it was absurd. I opened my laptop. 4 unread emails waited in my inbox. All from wedding vendors. The resort invoice appeared first. Contract holder Claire Bennett. Remaining balance $47,000. Due within 5 business days. My stomach tightened. I opened the next email. The catering company. $32,000. Then photography.
$15,000.
Then floral design.
$14,000.
The total remaining balance exceeded $100,000. Every invoice carried my name. Every invoice carried my signature. Every invoice expected payment from me. I sat frozen for several minutes. Outside my hotel window, I could see families walking along the lake, enjoying the evening. Inside the ballroom across town, people were drinking champagne and dancing beneath decorations I was expected to finance. And yet those same people had decided I was not welcome enough to attend. That was when my phone rang. Aunt Linda, my mother's older sister.
I
Answered immediately. Claire, where are you? At the hotel.
Why?
A long pause followed. Then her voice became very quiet. Your mother told everyone you decided not to come. I laughed bitterly. That is not exactly what happened.
No.
I figured it was not what happened. So I told her everything. The entrance. The distant cousin lie. The demand that I leave. The humiliation. The silence from my father. By the time I finished, Aunt Linda sounded furious. She called you a cousin. In front of strangers.
Yes. Lord help me.
Another pause. Then she asked the question nobody else had bothered asking. How are you holding up? The concern in her voice nearly broke me. Not because I was weak. Because it was the first genuine kindness I had received all day. I am all right. No, you are not. She sighed heavily. Claire, listen carefully. Those wedding contracts. Whose name is on them?
Mine.
All of them. Every single one. The silence that followed lasted several seconds. Then she spoke slowly. Do not pay 1 cent. I looked at the invoices glowing on my laptop screen. Part of me still felt guilty. Family loyalty is difficult to erase even after betrayal. But another part of me was beginning to wake up. The part that had spent years being used. Years being ignored until money was needed. Years believing sacrifice would eventually earn love. Maybe Aunt Linda saw that struggle. Because her next words hit harder than anything else. Claire, if someone tells the world you are not family, then stop acting like family to people who do not want you. After we hung up, I remained motionless. The ballroom celebration continued somewhere across town. Meanwhile, I opened each contract one by one. For the first time, I actually read every page carefully. The legal language was clear. The contract holder had full authority regarding payment authorization. The contract holder could approve charges. The contract holder could withdraw authorization. The contract holder could redirect responsibility. I stared at that sentence. Redirect responsibility. A strange calm settled over me. Not anger. Not revenge. Something quieter.
Clarity.
My phone buzzed. A social media notification. Sophie had posted wedding photos. The first image showed her and her husband kissing beneath white roses. The second showed my parents smiling proudly beside them. The third showed both families gathered together. Everyone looked happy. Everyone looked complete. The caption stopped me cold. Perfect day, with everyone who matters most. Everyone who matters most. I read the sentence 3 times. Then I looked at the invoices again. Something inside me finally snapped into place. Not emotionally.
Practically.
Like a lock clicking open. I picked up my phone and called the resort. A cheerful woman answered. Good evening, Lakeview Resort. This is Megan speaking. Hello, Megan. My name is Claire Bennett. I am the contract holder for the Morrison wedding held today. Of course, Ms. Bennett. Beautiful event. How may I help you? I took a slow breath. I am calling to withdraw payment authorization effective immediately. Silence. Then confusion. I am sorry.
Could you repeat that?
I repeated every word carefully. I will not be authorizing final payment on this event. Please redirect all future invoices to the event hosts. The woman hesitated. May I ask if there is a dispute?
No dispute.
Simply a change in authorization. After several moments, she agreed to forward the matter to management. The call ended. I immediately dialed the catering company. Then the photographer. Then the florist. For calls. Less than 15 minutes.
No yelling. No threats. No emotional speeches.
Just one calm answer repeated again and again.
No.
When the final call ended, I placed the phone on the nightstand. The room felt strangely peaceful. For years, I believed strength meant enduring mistreatment without complaint. Tonight, I discovered strength could also mean refusing. Refusing to be used. Refusing to be erased. Refusing to finance your own humiliation. The wedding guests were probably still dancing when I turned off the lights and climbed into bed. For the first time since arriving in Oregon, I slept through the entire night. Because deep down I already knew what would happen next. Sooner or later the invoices would reach my parents. And when they did, my phone would ring. This time, they would not be calling to talk about family. They would be calling about money. I returned to Vancouver before sunrise the following morning. The airport was crowded, but I barely noticed anyone around me. While families reunited near baggage claim, I walked alone toward the exit carrying only one suitcase and a truth I could no longer ignore. I had spent years trying to earn a place in a family that had already decided to erase me. The flight home gave me 18 uninterrupted hours to think. By the time the plane landed, I had stopped asking why. The better question was why I had accepted it for so long. I unpacked my clothes, made myself a cup of coffee, and opened my laptop. One by one confirmation emails from the vendors arrived. Your payment authorization has been removed. Your request has been processed. Your records have been updated. Each message felt like another chain falling away. I closed the laptop and went to work the next morning as if nothing had happened. No one in the office knew I had been thrown out of my own sister's wedding. No one knew I had almost accepted a debt larger than most people's yearly salary simply because I was afraid of disappointing my parents. Around noon, my phone lit up.
Mom.
I let it ring twice before answering. Claire, sweetheart, how was your flight? Her voice sounded unusually gentle. Fine. Good. Listen, the resort just called us. They are saying you canceled the payment authorization. There must be some misunderstanding. There is not. A brief silence. Honey, you know that money was always supposed to go through your account first. We will sort it out later.
No.
Another pause. Claire, do not joke about this. The balance is over $100,000. I know exactly how much it is. Then why would you do this to your own family? I stared through the office window at the rain falling outside. Because my own family stood at the entrance of a wedding and told the world I was not part of it. Her tone changed instantly. Do not exaggerate. It was only to avoid awkward questions. Awkward questions. She repeated confidently. The groom's relatives are very traditional. We did not want unnecessary complications. So pretending I did not exist was easier. You are making this emotional.
No, Mom.
You made it emotional. I simply made it financial. The line went silent. Then came the familiar weapon she had used my entire life. After everything we have done for you, this is how you repay us. I almost smiled. After everything you have done for me. Or after everything I have done for you. Another silence. This one longer. Then her voice hardened. Your father is under tremendous stress. If his blood pressure rises because of this, it will be your fault. I closed my eyes. For years, guilt had always worked. This time it did not. Dad watched while you turned me away. He made his choice. Now I am making mine. She hung up. Exactly 30 minutes later, she called again. This time she was no longer pretending to be calm. Do you have any idea what people will think? The vendors are sending invoices directly to us. Your sister's new husband is asking questions. His parents are asking questions. You are humiliating this family. Humiliating. I whispered the word back to myself. Then I answered quietly. I think being introduced as a distant cousin at my own sister's wedding was humiliation enough for one lifetime. She did not reply. Instead, the call ended with another sharp click. By Wednesday, everyone started calling. Sophie sobbed through an entire voicemail asking me to reconsider. Dad left only one message. Please call your mother. Even distant relatives I had not heard from in years suddenly remembered my phone number. Each conversation somehow circled back to the same point. The money. Nobody asked how I felt. Nobody apologized for what happened at the entrance. Nobody admitted what they had done was wrong. They simply wanted the invoices to disappear. Late Thursday evening, another message arrived from Sophie.
Claire, please.
Ryan and I cannot start our marriage carrying this debt. Can you at least pay half? I read the message twice. Then I searched every line for one sentence. I am sorry they treated you that way. It was not there. Not even once. Everything revolved around loans, bills, embarrassment, and consequences. Nothing about betrayal. Nothing about family. Nothing about me. So, I typed a single reply. When you are ready to talk about why your sister was not allowed inside your wedding, then call me. Until then, there is nothing left to discuss. I pressed send and set the phone aside. For the first time in years, I did not feel guilty. Only peaceful. Because boundaries are not revenge. They are the price of self-respect. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is stop paying for a seat at a table where nobody wants you to sit. If this story has touched something real in your own life, take a moment to subscribe, and leave a comment below.
Tell me honestly.
If you had been standing in my place, would you have paid the entire bill to keep the peace, or would you have walked away and protected your own dignity? I read every comment, and I would truly like to know your answer.